Having visited the Goryachi Kliach in Caucasia in the summer, we were surprised to find a negative attitude towards the Lykov family of local residents. Peskov's Taiga dead end is called an outright lie. The journalist Peskov himself is called a storyteller who earned the Lenin Prize. Karp Lykov is called a parasite who did not want to work for the Soviet government, and therefore fled to the Taiga. Agafya Lykova, his daughter, is called a victim of the Soviet regime, and a freeloader, who leads an opportunistic lifestyle. Is this really so? Let's figure it out. The most controversial issue, related to the Lykov family, was the issue of isolation. Various authors who wrote about the Hermit Old Believers gave the opposite information. Yes, and Karp Osipovich Lykov himself, talking about life in the Taiga, was also often confused in his testimony. Did the Lykovs really starve, and had no connection with civilization? Definitely. The Lykovs had household items, iron and cartridges. They hunted and exchanged skins with local hunters. This fact slips through some authors who wrote about hermits. Also, many viewers of our channel, especially those living in Caucasia and Tuva, categorically stated that there was no trace of any isolation of the Lykovs, and that the locals were well aware of the hermits, and were actively trading with them. By the way, Karp Lykov himself believed that in that difficult 1961, memorable for the whole family, when Akolina Karpovna died, he lost his wife not because of hunger, but precisely because of a lack of salt. Karp Osipovich said that he always exchanged animal skins for goods, that the family needed so much: matches, threads, wheat, but first of all, salt. So there was salt too. What do you, the viewers of our channel, think about all this? Write in the comments. In general, the official history of the family of famous Old Believers is as follows. Agafia was the only survivor from a large family of Old Believer hermits, found by geologists in 1978 in the western Sayan Mountains. The Lykov family has lived in isolation since 1937. For many years, hermits tried to protect the family from the influence of the external environment, especially with regard to faith. Karp Lykov was an Old Believer, a member of the fundamentalist Orthodox community, performing religious rites in the form in which they existed until the 17th century. When the power was in the hands of the Soviets, the scattered communities of the Old Believers, who had fled to Siberia from the persecution that began under Peter I, began to move further and further away from civilization. During the repressions of the 1930s, when Christianity itself was under attack, on the outskirts of an Old Believer village, a Soviet patrol shot his brother in front of Lykov. After that, Karp had no doubts that he needed to run. In 1936, having collected his belongings, and taking some seeds with him, Karp with his wife Akolina and 2 children, 9-year-old Savin, and 2-year-old Natala, went into the forests, building hut after hut, until they settled where the family was found by geologists. In 1940, already in the Taiga, Dmitry was born. In 1943, Agafia. Everything that the children knew about the outside world, countries, cities, animals, other people, they drew from the stories of adults and Bible stories. It seemed that acquaintance with geologists, and their useful gifts in the household, gave the family a chance to survive. As often happens in life, everything turned out exactly the opposite. In the fall of 1981, 3 of Karp's 4 children died. The elders, Savin and Natala, died due to kidney failure resulting from many years of a harsh diet. At the same time, Dmitry died of pneumonia. It is likely that he picked up the infection from geologists. On the eve of his death, Dmitry refused their offer to transport him to the hospital. "We can't do this," he whispered before his death. "As long as God gives, I will live for so long." Geologists tried to convince the surviving Karp and Agafia to return to their relatives, who lived in the villages. In response, the Lykovs only rebuilt the old hut, but refused to leave their native place. In 1988, Karp passed away. Having buried her father on a mountain slope, Agafia returned to the hut. "The Lord will give, and she will live," she said then to the geologists who helped her. And so it happened. The last child of the taiga. After a quarter of a century, she continues to live alone on a mountain above Abakan. Please subscribe to the channel, press the notification bell, rate this video, and chat in the comments about the family of famous old believers. I also ask you to go to other videos about Agafya Lykova that you now see in the end screens. Thank you all for watching.